My parents canceled my graduation party for my sister's feelings, so I left, and months later, they watched my Stanford success on the news. I tossed away the invitation after it sat on my desk for 4 weeks. My high school graduation party was publicized with gold letters on cream cardstock. Mom had ordered them bespoke and probably paid $180 on the wretched things. She'd presented them to me with a big smile, as if she was proud for once. "We're inviting everyone, sweetie. Aunt Linda, Uncle Doug, the Hendersons from church, your dad's work friends. This is such a big accomplishment. I should have known better. With my family, wonderful things seldom lasted long enough to be truly enjoyed." It began on Tuesday, exactly 10 days before graduation. I returned home from my job at the grocery store to find Mom seated at the kitchen table with that expression on her face. You know the expression. She's going to give awful news, but wants you to believe it's reasonable. "Claire, honey, we need to talk about the party." My stomach sank. "What about it?" "Well, your sister's been feeling really left out lately. She thinks everyone's making too big a deal about your graduation. And honestly, your father and I have been discussing it, and we think she has a point." I gazed at her. "Amber's 16th. She's in 10th grade. What does my graduation have to do with her?" Mom sighed as if I was being tough. "You know how sensitive she is. She's been crying in her room every night because she feels invisible. All anyone talks about anymore is you. You. Your accomplishments. Your future. Your college plans. She feels like nobody cares about her anymore. Because I'm graduating high school. Something that happens once in a person's life. Don't be dramatic, Claire. We just think it would be better if we postponed the party. Maybe do something smaller, quieter. Amber suggested we could have a family dinner instead. Just the 5 of us. Wouldn't that be nicer? Anyway, more intimate. The 5 of us, Mom, Dad, Amber, me and my younger brother Ethan, who was 12 and couldn't care less about any of this drama. He just wanted to play Fortnite and eat pizza rolls. "You want to cancel my graduation party because Amber's feelings are hurt that people are congratulating me?" "We're not canceling it. We're postponing it." "For when?" "After she graduates in 2 years so she can feel special too?" Mom's expression tightened. "You're being selfish right now. This is exactly what we're talking about. You always need to be the center of attention." The irony was so heavy, I could have choked. I had spent my entire life as the unseen child. Amber, the newborn girl with huge blue eyes and golden hair, could do no wrong. When she had tantrums at 13, she was expressing herself. When I got upset at 13, I was being difficult and needed to improve my emotional management. Amber achieved honor roll once in 8th school, and her father brought her to Disneyland. I'd been on the honor roll every semester since 5th grade, and the most attention I'd ever received was a, "That's nice, honey," as Dad glanced through his phone. She wanted to attend dance classes, so we did. She wanted a new laptop. She received a new laptop. She decided she wanted to play guitar, and 2 lessons later, a $350 acoustic guitar was sitting in her room, at which time she became bored and stopped. I had worked since I was 17 to buy my first vehicle, a beat-up 2009 Honda Civic with a scratch in the passenger door and a tape deck that barely worked. I paid for my own gasoline, insurance, and everything. I had applied to 12 colleges and was accepted into 8 of them, including my favorite school across the nation. I'd obtained a partial scholarship based on my GPA and test results. I'd done everything correctly. And now they want to cancel my graduation celebration because my sister can't face 4 hours of people congratulating me instead of her. "I'm not postponing my party," I responded calmly. "You already sent out invitations. People already bought gifts. Aunt Linda's driving 4 hours to get here. We'll call everyone and explain. They'll understand." "I don't understand," I said. "Claire, you need to be more understanding. Let Amber have the spotlight for once. Is that really so much to ask?" Something inside of me cracked. "For once? Are you actually serious right now? Amber has had the spotlight my entire life. Every single thing she's ever wanted, she's gotten. Every accomplishment of hers gets celebrated like she won the Nobel Prize, while mine get ignored unless they somehow benefit you. I'm graduating with honors, Mom. I'm going to Stanford on a scholarship. And you want to cancel my party because Amber's jealous? Don't raise your voice at me. Mark, don't treat me like I'm disposable." Dad strolled in, still dressed for work, tie loosened around his neck. "What's all the yelling about?" Your daughter's being unreasonable about the party situation, she remarked. Our daughter graduated top 10% of her class, and you're canceling her party. I told you. Those are the facts. Dad massaged his forehead. Look, Claire, your mom and I already decided. We're doing a family dinner instead. Amber needs to feel valued too. By taking away something from me? How does that make any sense? Because you're 19 now. You're an adult. You should be mature enough to understand that sometimes we make sacrifices for family. Sacrifices for family, right? Like how you sacrificed my entire childhood to make sure Amber felt special every second of every day. Fine, I heard myself saying. Cancel the party. Mom genuinely grinned. Thank you, sweetheart. I knew you'd understand once we explained it properly. I'm going upstairs. I strolled to my room on autopilot, closing and locking the door. Then I took out my phone and accessed the banking app. I'd been saving money since I was 17. Every grocery store job, every birthday present from my grandparents, and every dollar I could scrounge together. I told my parents I was saving for college, which was partly true. But, in reality, I was saving for my independence. The balance showed $9,105.45. It wasn't a fortune, but it was mine. Money they couldn't touch, seize, or use to control me. I grabbed my laptop and started browsing for flats near Stanford. Move-in wasn't until August, but many properties offered summer leases. I could work full-time throughout the summer, save more money and get comfortable before school starts. My phone vibrated with a text from Aunt Linda. I'm so excited for your party next week. I'm delivering your graduation present early so you may spend it on college shopping. I am so proud of you, honey. My eyes stung. I blinked hard and replied back. Actually, the party is canceled. Things related to the family. Long tale, but I'd still like to see you if you want to meet for coffee. She made an urgent call. Canceled? Claire, what has happened? I told her everything. The entire tale flowed out like I'd been keeping it in for 19 years, and the dam finally burst. Amber's jealousy, Mom's manipulation, Dad's utter disregard for my feelings, and the pattern of favoritism that had defined my entire upbringing. Aunt Linda was quiet for a long while. Pack your bag, she eventually said. You're staying with me until you leave for school. Aunt Linda, I can't ask you to. You aren't asking. I am telling you. Pack enough for several days and meet me at the Morrison Street coffee shop in 90 minutes. We will sort out the rest later. How about Mom and Dad? What about them? You're 19. They cannot stop you from going. She was correct. I was legally an adult. They couldn't stop me from walking out of the door. So that is precisely what I did. I packed my duffel bag with clothing, toiletries, my laptop, and vital documents. Birth certificate, social security card, bank statements, admission letters, scholarship information, everything I needed to start a new life. When I took my bag downstairs, the home was still silent. Mom was in the kitchen, preparing dinner. The fragrance of garlic and tomatoes filled the air, most likely from her renowned spaghetti sauce. Dad was in the living room, watching the news. Amber was in her room, the door locked, undoubtedly messaging her buddies about how she had successfully persuaded our parents to cancel my party. I proceeded to the front entrance, carrying my bag over my shoulder and my diploma case in my hand. Claire, Mom called from the kitchen. Where are you going with that bag? Out. Out where? Dinner is almost ready. I won't be here for dinner. She arrived in the doorway, holding a wooden spoon. What are you talking about? I am leaving. I'll return for the rest of my belongings later, but I'm residing somewhere from now on. Dad stepped up from the sofa. You are not going anywhere. Do not be ridiculous. I'm 19. I can go anywhere I want. Claire Reynolds, you put that bag down right now, Mom shouted, her voice taking on the biting edge that used to make me shudder as a child. It didn't function anymore. You made your decision when you canceled my party. I'm making mine. Amber's door opened. She stood at the top of the steps, bewildered, wearing pajama shorts and an oversized hoodie. What is going on? Dad remarked. Your sister is throwing a tantrum. I am not hurling anything. I'm just finished. I'm done being the backup child. I am done being throwaway. Stop pretending this is a normal family where members care about each other rather than just manipulating each other to feel better about themselves. How dare you, Mom whispered. After everything we've done for you. Like what? Can I cancel my graduation party? Wait, I should be grateful for that, right? Because it taught me how to be kind and unselfish. So, congrats, Mom. I've learnt my lesson. I understand completely now. I opened the front door. If you walk out that door, don't bother coming back, my dad advised. I gazed at him for a long time. His face was flushed, his jaw clenched, his hands at his sides, as if he were the offended person and I was the crazy one. Okay, I said calmly, and walked away. Mom began shrieking something about respect and thanks. Amber began weeping. Dad yelled that I'd regret it. I hopped into my Honda Civic, tossed my suitcase into the passenger seat, and drove away. My hands were trembling so violently that I had to stop twice before reaching the coffee shop. But I made it. Aunt Linda was already present, seated at a corner table with 2 cups of coffee and a furious resolve on her face. "You did the right thing," she exclaimed the moment I sat down. I broke into tears. She let me cry for about 10 minutes before handing tissues across the table and squeezing my hand. "Your mother called me 14 times in the last hour," she told me. I did not respond. "She is probably furious. She's probably panicking since you called her bluff. Your entire life, they've taught you to back down. To shrink yourself so Amber can feel bigger. They never expected you to speak up for yourself. What if I've made a tremendous mistake? Did you?" I truly thought about it. Approximately 19 years of being second best, second choice, and second priority. Almost every success I had made went ignored, yet Amber's lackluster efforts were lauded. About how little they made me feel simply by being in their company. "No," I said finally. "I don't think I did." Aunt Linda grinned. "Then let us get you comfortable. You are welcome to remain in my extra room for as long as you need. We'll return tomorrow when they're at work to grab the remainder of your belongings, and then we'll focus on getting you ready for Stanford." That night, while resting in Linda's guest room, my phone burst with texts. "Mom. You're tearing the family apart. Dad. This is what we get for raising ungrateful children. Amber. I hope you are happy. Mom had been sobbing all night because of you. Ethan. Will you come back? I miss you." The last one stung the most. Ethan was completely innocent in all of this. He was just a child caught up in terrible familial circumstances that he had no control over. I texted him back privately. "I miss you, buddy. This is not about you. I will see you shortly. I promise." The rest I disregarded. Graduation has come and gone. I walked across the stage wearing my cap and gown, shook the principal's hand, and accepted my diploma. Aunt Linda was in the crowd and cheered louder than any of the parents. Following that, I received congratulations from a couple of my friends' families. It should have seemed incomplete without my parents around, but instead, it felt liberating. My own relatives did not come up, including Ethan. I subsequently discovered that Amber had planned a dental appointment for that particular time period, and requested that the entire family accompany her for emotional support since she was scared of having her teeth cleaned. Mom and Dad genuinely agreed with it. Summer went by quickly. I worked full-time at a nearby bookshop, saved more money, and spent my spare time with Aunt Linda. She helped me purchase for dorm supplies, showed me how to budget, and provided me college advice that my parents never cared to impart. The bookstore work became somewhat of a haven for me. My boss, Diane, a retired English professor, became interested in my narrative. She never pried, yet she listened when I needed to speak. She offered books on family dynamics and personal development, sliding them into my employee discount pile with a knowing smile. "You remind me of my daughter," she said to me during a sluggish afternoon shift. She had to leave home young too. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is admit when remaining will ruin you. I spent my lunch breaks in the psychology department, reading all I could on narcissistic family structures, golden child and scapegoat dynamics, and the long-term consequences of emotional neglect. Every page read as if someone had written my biography. The affirmation was both reassuring and upsetting. Aunt Linda saw me lugging the books home. We began having lengthier discussions on family dynamics and generational trauma. She told me things about my mother growing up that I had never heard before. Mom had apparently played favorites before. Aunt Linda had always been forgotten, while my mother received all of the attention and admiration from their parents. The cycle just resumed with the following generation. "Your grandmother used to throw elaborate birthday parties for your mom every year," Aunt Linda told me one evening as we were putting together a bookcase for my dorm. "Professional decorations, catered food, ponies, the whole 9 yards. My birthdays involved sheet cake and a few relatives in the garden. When I inquired why, my mother said that your mother needed it more since she was sensitive." That sounds familiar. "I left for college and barely looked back," she explained. "I worked 3 jobs to pay for school since they refused to help with tuition. They said they had already spent a lot of money on your mother. when I graduated with honors, they did not attend the ceremony. Your mother had a salon appointment that day. I gazed at her. I had no idea. Your mom never learned how to share the spotlight, Aunt Linda remarked, tightening a screw on the bookcase. So, when she had children, she unintentionally repeated the same dynamic. Amber became her, and you became me. It's not fair, and it's not your fault. But this is what occurred. Do you think she will ever comprehend what she has done? Aunt Linda shrugged. Some people never do. They're too caught up in their own story to recognize the harm they're making. I made peace with that many years ago. My mother died still feeling she had been fair to both of us. Your mother will probably do the same. The weight of that understanding descended on me. This trend may never break. My mother might never wake up one day and realize what she has done to me. I may be waiting for an apology that never comes. Hoping for an acknowledgement that never arrives. How did you stop getting angry? I asked. Who says I've stopped? Aunt Linda smiled sadly. I just learned to live a decent life so that my anger didn't matter anymore. That's all you can do. Make your life so rich and significant that those who harm you become footnotes rather than the main story. In August, I relocated to California. Stanford was all I imagined it would be, and more. The campus was beautiful, my classes were difficult in the greatest manner possible, and for the first time in my life, I felt like I belonged. I was able to make friends effortlessly. Sophie, my roommate, was a computer science major from Seattle with a wicked sense of humor and a coffee addiction to equal mine. We sat up late talking about everything and nothing, and she never made me feel like I was doing too much or not enough. I joined groups, attended events, and devoted myself to my academics. Psychology had always interested me, and now I was studying from teachers who were true experts in their subjects. I was prospering in ways I could never have done at home. My parents tried to contact me a few times during those initial months, sending uncomfortable messages asking how school was going, and emails with links to things they thought I'd be interested in. Mom sent a care box in October with handmade cookies and a message that said, "We miss you." The care gift remained untouched on my desk for 2 days before I peered inside. My favorite cookies were chocolate chip with walnuts, which she used to prepare on special occasions. There was also a brand new Stanford sweater with tags still attached, as well as a framed photo of our family from 6 years ago. I gazed at the photo for a long time. We were at a beach, all 5 of us smiling for the photo. Ethan was simply a tiny kid with missing front teeth. Amber appeared to be really joyful, as if she weren't pretending for anyone. I was 14, still hoping that things would improve. Sophie discovered me sitting on the floor, holding the photo in my lap. Are you okay? I do not know. They sent these things, and part of me wants to phone to thank them. Part of me wants to toss everything away. And part of me is sad because when I look at this image, I can't recall the last time we were joyful together. She sat next to me and said, "Do you want to know what I think?" Yeah. I believe grieving is difficult. You may grieve for the family you wish you had while still shielding yourself from the family you do have. Those things can exist simultaneously. She was correct. I could miss the concept of having supporting parents while simultaneously accepting that my parents' reality was damaging. I may want for them to change while still realizing that they probably won't. I preserved the cookies and distributed them across my dorm floor. I gave the sweater to the college thrift store because I already had 3 Stanford sweatshirts. And I put the photo in a drawer so I wouldn't have to look at it every day, but I also wouldn't throw it away. But they never apologized or recognized their actions. Never said that canceling my graduation party was wrong, or that their treatment of me throughout my childhood was unjust. So I kept my distance, responding politely but briefly, providing surface-level updates and making no genuine emotional commitment. Ethan and I kept in touch via video conversations and text messages. He spoke to me about his soccer team, his academics, and the new video game he was enamored with. I informed him about California and college life, then emailed him bunny memes. He inquired when I'd be home, and I kept responding soon, even though we both knew it was a lie. The reality was, I had no intention of returning. The house had never seemed like home. Anyway, the major breakthrough happened 7 months into my freshman year. I'd applied for a competitive research post in the psychology department, which is normally reserved for upperclassmen. It was a long shot, but my academic advisor urged me to attempt. I received it. Not only did I receive the job, but the professor was particularly pleased by my application essay and my views on early family dynamics and their long-term psychological consequences. Personal experience appears to have had some value in academia. The research post included a stipend, not much, but enough to pay books and some living expenses. More significantly, it conveyed prestige. Getting this job as a freshman was almost unheard of, and it looked great on a resume. I was working in a genuine psychology lab, doing serious research for a paper that would eventually be published in an academic publication. My name would appear on that publication. At the age of 20, I was already accumulating qualifications that would prepare me for graduate school and other opportunities. I made a modest message on social media, including a photo of myself in the lab wearing a visiting ID and clutching a clipboard. I'm excited to begin my research post in developmental psychology. Dreams really come true. The response was astounding. Friends from high school applauded me. Professors from my department offered encouraging comments. Even folks I hardly knew sent encouraging words. Mrs. Carter, my high school English teacher, made the most impactful observation, however. "I always felt you were destined for big things, Claire. I'm really pleased to see you succeeding." I screenshotted the comment and forwarded it to Aunt Linda. She answered with around 15 heart emojis. What I didn't expect was silence from my relatives. No likes, comments, or anything. Even Ethan, who typically reacts to anything I publish, remained silent. I then discovered that Amber had set up a family group chat just to criticize my article, labeling it attention-seeking and rubbing their noses in it. Apparently, she had persuaded everyone to overlook it as a group effort. The pettiness would have been amusing if it hadn't been so tragic. Friends and instructors have left 67 comments and likes. Aunt Linda posted it with a remark about how proud she was. I didn't think much about it until my phone called 3 days later. Mom's name displayed on screen. I almost didn't respond, but curiosity got the better of me. "Hello, Claire." "Hi? How are you?" Her voice was too cheerful, the tone she used when she wanted something. "I am fine. I'm busy with school. I saw your post regarding the research. That is fantastic, honey. Very impressive. Thanks. Listen, I was wondering if you could come home for spring break. It's been a long time since we saw you. Amber genuinely misses you." I questioned it, but I didn't protest. "I intend to stay here during spring break. I have work. Surely you could have a few days off. We'd love to visit you, and you may tell us about your studies and research position. I am sure everyone would be quite eager to learn about it." There it was. Everyone, including extended family, church friends, and neighbors. They could brag to others about their daughter's significant studies at Stanford. Now that I had something outstanding to show off, they wanted me to go home. "I'll think about it," I lied. "Great. I'll make plans to have you here. Oh, Claire, your father and I were chatting, and we'd want to make things up to you. We understand that we may have handled your graduation celebration poorly. We thought we'd throw you a belated celebration while you were home. Invite everyone. Make it truly special. May have handled things poorly." That was as near to an apology as I was going to receive. I replied, "I will think about it. I have to go. I have class." I hung up before she could reply. Sophie glanced up from her laptop. "Let me guess. Family? My mom wants me to come home for spring break so they can throw me a party and show me off to everyone now that I have something worth bragging about. Are you planning to go?" "Absolutely not." She grinned. "Good. We're traveling to Mexico with Lily and Hannah. I've already bought my plane tickets. You're joining us." And just like that, spring break was arranged. 4 college girls, an inexpensive resort, and no family stress for a week. It was perfect. Mexico was just what I needed. We spent mornings at the beach, afternoons touring local markets, and nights trying different restaurants and laughing so hard our tummies hurt. Lily taught us basic Spanish phrases, most of which we botched horribly. Hannah pulled us to every photo opportunity she could find, creating a whole Instagram aesthetic around our vacation. On the 3rd night, we found up at a small tavern with live music. The band was performing renditions of American songs with a Latin touch, and their enthusiasm was contagious. We danced till our feet hurt, drank fruity cocktails that were much stronger than they tasted, and discussed our future goals. "I want to open my own practice someday," I told them, yelling above the music. "Help children who grew up like me. Make sure they understand it's not their fault." Sophie lifted a glass. "To Dr. Claire Reynolds, future therapist and destroyer of toxic family systems." We drank to that. To the futures we were creating for ourselves, to lives that belong to us alone. I shared photographs from Mexico on social media, featuring beach sunsets, fruity beverages, laughing with pals, and enjoying my best life without them. Mom left multiple voicemails inquiring why I didn't come home. Dad sent me a harsh text message suggesting I was being rude. Amber shockingly said nothing at all. That should have been my first caution flag. The true explosion occurred in April, just before exams. I was invited to discuss my study findings at an undergraduate symposium. It was a tremendous opportunity to present in front of professors, graduate students, and visiting academics from other universities. My professor recommended me explicitly, stating that my work demonstrated extraordinary understanding for a first-year student. I shared about it on social media, identifying the university, and thanking my lecturer. Stanford's official page picked up the message and disseminated it extensively. My hometown's local news picked up on it and published a little item titled, "Local Graduate Makes Waves at Stanford." That article featured information about my study, scholarship, lab position, and remarks from my professor regarding my chances of attending graduate school and pursuing a psychology profession. My phone started exploding immediately. Suddenly, everyone at home wanted to congratulate me, including neighbors I hardly knew, high school instructors, and distant cousins I hadn't communicated with in years. And then Amber called. I almost refused it out of habit, but something compelled me to answer. "What? Don't you think you're so special?" Her voice trembled with wrath. "Amber, what are you talking about? Stanford this, research that. Everyone is quite proud of Claire. Do you know what it's been like here? Everyone is asking about you, bragging about your accomplishments, and acting like you're some kind of genius, when I'm simply the other daughter no one cares about." The irony was so astounding that I really laughed. "You are kidding, right? This must be a joke." "I am not kidding. You departed, and now everything is about you again. You're not even present, yet you're using all of the oxygen in the room. Mom and Dad will not stop talking about you. Every family gathering becomes the Claire show. Nobody asks me about my life anymore." "Amber, I'm sorry you feel that way, but you aren't sorry. You adore this. You like being the special one for once. So guess what?" I told them the truth. I told them how you abandoned your family for a foolish party, how you are selfish and ungrateful, and how all you care about is yourself. I told them everything. My stomach sank. "Exactly what did you tell them?" "The fact is that you picked a random party above your sister's sentiments, that you had a fit and ran away from home like a child, that Mom and Dad did everything they could to reach out to you, but you refused to forgive them for one minor error. I told Aunt Linda too. I phoned her and told her how you've been manipulating everyone with your sob tale." A cold had formed in my chest. "So, what did Aunt Linda say?" She paused. "She hung up on me. But that's because you've clearly poisoned her against the entire family. Or maybe it's because she knows you're lying." "I am not lying. You abandoned us. I quit after 19 years of being treated as if I didn't matter. There is a difference." "Oh my God. You are so theatrical. We treated you well. Better than fine. We gave you everything." "You've got everything," I corrected. "I've earned all I have. There is a distinction there as well. But I do not expect you to grasp it. Everyone is now recognizing you for who you truly are. The perfect golden child act is no longer working." "Is that what you believe this is? An act?" I felt unusually calm, almost detached, as if I were watching someone else have this talk. "Amber, I spent my whole life watching you be lauded for achieving the bare minimum while I had to be flawless simply to be recognized. And when I finally did something worth celebrating, it was taken away because you couldn't take 4 hours of not being the focus of attention. So yes, I went and made a life without any of you. And I am happy today than I have ever been. That is not an act. That's simply me finally being able to exist without continually reducing myself for your benefit. You're such a... I am done with this talk. Do not call me again." I hung up and immediately called Aunt Linda. She answered the first ring. "I was about to call you," she explained. "Amber just lost her damn mind at me." "Did she call you?" "Oh honey. She did more than just make a call. She walked up at my house, yelling about how I had damaged her family by urging you to leave. My mother was with her." My blood became chilly. "Was Mom there?" "They ambushed me after my morning walk," Aunt Linda explained. "Started ranting about how I twisted you against them. You've turned into an ungrateful monster who believes she's too good for her own family." Amber was really frantic, sobbing, yelling, and saying nasty things about you. "I'm so sorry you had to deal with that. Do not apologize." "Do you know what occurred next?" Your mother began agreeing with her. I started telling Amber that she was correct, that you had always been selfish and difficult, and that they should have been harsher on you growing up. Claire, I've never heard anyone talk about their own child that way. I felt numb. What did you say? I told them exactly what I felt. That they'd spent 19 years ignoring you in favor of Amber. That they'd caused this whole mess by canceling your graduation party out of spite. And that you were succeeding at Stanford precisely because you'd moved away from their poisonous behavior. Then I warned them to leave my property before I contacted the police. Have they left? Eventually, but not before Amber experienced a full meltdown. She began shouting about how you had stolen her life. How everything should have been hers. And how it was unfair that you could be successful while she was trapped at home being average. Your mother did not even attempt to calm her down. She simply stood there, agreeing with everything Amber said. How about Dad? He was inside the automobile, never even made it out. Just sat there like a coward while his wife and children harassed me on my own doorstep. I fell onto my bed, phone placed to my ear. This is insane. It's reality, Aunt Linda remarked gently. This is who they truly are, Claire. And frankly, I believe Amber did you a favor. She taught you that no matter what you do, or how successful you become, they would never be pleased for you. They'll always find a way to make everything about themselves, to downplay your accomplishments, and to punish you for daring to outshine Amber. You needed to see that clearly. She was correct. But it still ached. The issue about dysfunctional families is that you constantly hope for change. You hope that one day they would wake up, understand what they have done, apologize, and everything will be okay. You keep that hope alive even when every evidence suggests it's worthless. Amber's meltdown destroyed that dream completely. Over the next few days, the full extent of her actions became obvious. She'd gone on social media and written a long meandering post about how I'd abandoned my family and was now behaving superior because I attended Stanford. She said I had broken off all communication with them for no reason, refused to return home for vacations, and was too nice for my own family. Of course, she cleverly left out the part about my graduation party being canceled, years of favoritism and abuse, and every piece of context that would explain why I made the decisions I did. The post gained momentum in our hometown. People who didn't know the complete situation began criticizing, calling me ungrateful and arrogant. Former classmates who had never liked me piled on. However, something unexpected occurred. Other individuals began to speak up, including classmates from high school who had experienced my family dynamics firsthand. Professors who had noted the gap in how my parents handled their two daughters, and even some family friends who had always been unhappy with how Amber was treated compared to how I was. They shared their own memories, such as how they saw me working numerous jobs while Amber received a weekly allowance, and how my parents missed my academic award ceremonies but never Amber's dancing performances. They had overheard my parents disparage my successes while applauding Amber's lackluster attempts. The story Amber sought to tell crumbled beneath the weight of the reality. Aunt Linda responded with a calm but forceful statement of what had actually transpired. She didn't explicitly criticize my parents, but she did make it plain that there was much more to the tale than Amber was giving. Mrs. Carter, my old English teacher, posted a comment that made me weep. I taught both Reynolds' daughters. Claire was one of the brightest and most hardworking students I've ever had the opportunity to teach. She has earned every chance she has received. I'm not shocked she's succeeding at Stanford. I'm shocked she put up with her family's behavior for so long. The tide turned slowly, but it did change. Amber's post was removed within 72 hours. I learned from Ethan that she'd had a huge battle with Mom about the whole incident, yelling that everyone was turning against her and that it was all my fault. Mom attempted to call me. I didn't respond. Dad sent an email. I did not read it. Amber sent an SMS around 2 a.m. I hope you are pleased. You have devastated this family. I blocked her number and went back to sleep. Finals came and went. I passed all of my examinations, gained a 3.98 GPA in my first year, and was asked back to the research lab for a paid work during the summer. My lecturer was already discussing graduate school recommendations and prospective PhD programs. I was 20 years old, with a bright and promising future ahead of me. Summer arrived. I stayed in California to work in the lab and attend a summer class. Sophie and I secured an off-campus apartment for the upcoming academic year. It was little and rather pricey, but it was ours. Aunt Linda came to visit in July. We spent a week seeing San Francisco, hiking Muir Woods, and eating delicious meals. She met my friends, saw the lab, and attended one of my summer lectures. Your parents missed out on an incredible daughter, she told me over dinner one night. That's their loss, not yours. Do you think they'll ever comprehend this? I asked. She thought about the question carefully. I honestly don't know. Some individuals are too proud to confess their mistakes. Even if they do, Claire, you don't have to forgive them. You do not owe them a relationship. You owe them nothing. I glanced at her silently as she went on. I used to believe that family was meant to be unconditional, that no matter what happened, you were supposed to sort things out and be together. Families are intended to provide unconditional love and support. However, what your parents offered you was not love. It was conditional permission, contingent on whether you made them appear nice without overshadowing Amber. That is not family. That is manipulation. We flew back to Aunt Linda's city in August. I needed to acquire some items from storage that I had left behind when I relocated to California. We meticulously planned the vacation, timing it around my parents' work hours and Amber's summer program. Ethan greeted us there. He was 13 now, taller and lankier, and his voice began to crack. He embraced me so fiercely that I could scarcely breathe. "I missed you so much," he murmured to my shoulder. "I missed you too, buddy." We had lunch together, just the three of us. Ethan chatted constantly about everything I had missed, including his soccer team, new friends, and the books he'd been reading. He didn't say much about our parents, which told me all I needed to know about the situation at home. "Will you ever come back?" he eventually said, moving his fries about his plate. I looked at Aunt Linda and then back at Ethan. "Not to live. Number. But I'll pay you a visit, and when you're older, you're welcome to remain with me in California." "What about college? Will you come back then?" "Ethan, I don't think I'll ever settle back here permanently. This place does not feel like home anymore." His expression dropped, but he nodded. "I get it. I heard what happened at your graduation celebration. That wasn't right." "Who told you that?" "I'm Aunt Linda." She added, "I deserve to know the truth because everyone else is lying about it." I gripped his hand across the table. "None of this is your responsibility, okay? It doesn't affect my feelings for you. You are my brother. I adore you. That will never change." "Even if I am connected to them?" he asked. "Especially because you are linked to them. Someone has to turn out normal in our family." He laughed, and the tension subsided. We spent the afternoon at the storage facility going through boxes of my childhood mementos, yearbooks, old awards, photos, plush animals, reminders of a life I'd had before everything came apart. Some of it I retained. The majority of things I donated or discarded. There wasn't much purpose in keeping on to memories that just made me upset. As we were carrying the final box into Aunt Linda's car, my mother's SUV arrived into the parking lot. Ethan became pale. "They're not supposed to be home yet." Mom parked 3 spaces away and stepped out. She appeared older than I recalled and exhausted. She approached gently, as if she was frightened I might flee. "Claire, I heard you were in town. We're just leaving. Can we talk, please? Only for a few minutes?" Aunt Linda put her hand on my shoulder. "You don't have to." "I know." I looked at my mother. "You have 10 minutes. We walked a little distance from the car, far enough that Ethan and Aunt Linda couldn't hear us well. Mom twisted her wedding band around her finger, an anxious habit she'd had since I could remember. "How are you?" "I'm fine. School is fantastic. I love California." "That is good. That's extremely nice." She hesitated. "I saw the article about your research." "Yeah. You're accomplishing wonderful things, Claire. I am proud of you." I had waited my entire life to hear those words, and suddenly they seemed hollow. "Have you come to apologize?" I asked plainly. She flinched. "I'm here to let you know that we miss you. It's not the same without you." "That's not an apology. I know we made mistakes with the party, with how we handled things, but we're still your family. You called off my graduation party because Amber was envious. That was not a mistake, Mom. It was a decision. One of many decisions you and Dad made over the last 19 years that told me exactly where I fit in our family. It wasn't like that. So what was it like? Describe it to me. Explain why it was fair that Amber received everything she wanted while I had to work for shreds of acceptance. Explain how it was fair to cancel the one event intended to recognize my accomplishments because your other daughter couldn't stand not being the focus of attention for 4 hours. Amber was struggling. I was suffering too. I struggled throughout my youth. But nobody noticed since I didn't throw tantrums. I simply worked harder, believing that ultimately it would be enough. But it never was, right? Because the issue was not that I wasn't talented enough. The trouble was that I was not Amber." Mom's eyes flooded with tears. "I don't know what you want me to say. I want you to say you were wrong. I'd like you to admit that you treated me unfairly. I want you to accept true responsibility rather than simply claiming you made mistakes as if it were a simple misunderstanding. I did the best I could. Your best was not good enough. And I'm not going to continue pretending it was simply to make you feel better about yourself. She wiped her eyes. Is that it? Are you going to cut us off forever? I am going to live my life. If you want to be a part of it, you know just what to do. But I'm not going to pursue you anymore. I'm done reducing myself so you can feel like a decent parent. I walked back to the car. Ethan was weeping softly. Aunt Linda had her arm around him. Let's go, I whispered gently. We drove away, and I did not glance back.